Hey guys, so I thought I would go ahead and record a little video in honor of, I think it's National Notebook Day today. And I know I put a blog post up, must be about a week or 2 weeks ago now, going through how I was using my standard size Midori, but I didn't get a chance to record a video, and I just got a new passport size Midori, so I figured, what the heck, let's record a video. Let's not keep this only in the written word. So what I want to do today is I'm going to rehash a little bit of what was in that blog post in terms of kind of what my system is, and then I'm going to show how I'm taking my system from the standard size down to the passport size without losing, the functionality that I found. Because what I've really learned is that the notebook itself doesn't matter. That's just a pretty package that it's all wrapped in. What's really important to me is the system, and I think I have finally found the system that works for me. So let's talk a little bit about what it was in the larger size. And I don't have these guys in the standard size cover that I have because the cover that I had belonged to Wesley and I was using it because he wasn't. But now that I am done using it, he is back to using it. So he currently has his notebooks in there now, but that's not really what's important. The important thing is what's in here. So I had 2 notebooks in there. And if anyone's curious, these notebooks that I'm using are Fabriano, the Eco-Qua, and these are an A5 size. Let me see if I can bring this closer in focus. I had to turn the autofocus off on the camera or it was going a little bit nuts. So there we go. Fabriano Eco-Qua, it's an A5 size notebook that I had cut down at a local print shop. And these are 40 sheets, so 80 pages, and I think they cost me like $4 or $4.50 at a local art supply store, so pretty reasonable, and they come in a whole bunch of colors. So anyway, I had these 2 notebooks in there. This orange one was in front, and then the purple one was in back. And what the orange one is the orange one is kind of my weekly planner / micro journal. So in the front of here, I just had a little list of like to-dos that were not time specific. So these were just kind of like, when you get to them, do these things. And then every month, well, the 2 months that I was in here, but this is kind of what my monthly overview looked like. And this should look a little bit familiar if anyone who is, does like bullet journaling. This is kind of the same. You basically just number vertically for each of the days and put the day of the week by it. And so this is for the current month. And on here, I basically would just put anything highlighted in pink is bills, anything highlighted in green is a payday, and then anything highlighted in yellow is an appointment or like an event. I don't really write things that happen down during the work day. These are things outside of work that I have to be at a specific place at a specific time. So that was all of that. And then I wanted a little bit of like looking ahead at the future. And granted, most of my future stuff I do with Google Calendar anyway. And all of my work stuff is handled on my Google Calendar. So I just needed a little bit, mostly just to kind of look ahead and see when my bills are due or like bill amounts that are coming up. Because a lot of my bills are due at the start of the month. So I kind of have to know about those ahead of time to be able to pay them in time. So basically what I did there is I just drew out the little calendar for, in this case, May, and I wrote down all the days, and then you can see some of these days have little circles or little dots on them, and those colors are the same as the colors over here. So any days that are circled in pink, that's a day where I have a bill due, and if it was a bill that has a variable amount, I would write it down here and then just write the amount there so that when I went to look back at it, like when I was doing this for May, I would know how much it was. Anything like that, any events, I wanted to make sure I wrote down what that actually was so that I didn't look at the 18th and be like, well, what was going on that day? So that's kind of how I handled future planning in here. And then what I would do is I would basically just construct 1 week at a time. So the nice thing is these notebooks are 21 centimeters tall, which meant I have a centimeter at the top and then 4 5-centimeter segments. So I'd basically just divide off my days. Sometimes I did this with washi tape. Sometimes I just drew lines. Sometimes I used like a water brush to do kind of like watercolor stuff. It just depended on what I was using. This week I had this crazy idea that I wanted my pen to match the notebook, which was a little goofy because as you can see, it's really hard to read. So we'll skip ahead a little bit. But basically what I did was, oh, come on. There we go. This is a good week. So basically you can see each day what I was doing is I would write some to-dos, just a couple on the side, like the most important things that I had to make sure I didn't forget to do that day. So I'd write those on the side, and then I would just do little micro journaling to fill up the rest of the box. And by micro journaling, I mean like bullet point journaling, not bullet journaling, but just, you can see I just wrote little bullet points about my day. I would write things like in terms of where I was, like when I hit milestones on my knitting projects. I would, things like if I went to the gym, if I maybe like put something in the mail, I needed to know when I mailed it, or if I needed to know when I paid a bill, I would put that down, things like that. Or like if I posted a blog post, like this, I'll maybe at some point talk a little bit more about like my journaling philosophy, but this is more so about like, what did I do? I don't really journal about how do I feel, but this is all about like, what did I do, so that I could look back at the end of the week and see what I did during the week. So I would make this out only one at a time. So this was only done for the current week. I didn't do these ahead of time. Then what I would do is I would, on like the next pages, I kind of took a bullet journal philosophy where like, if I had something that I wanted to write down, I'd write that down. Or I would write down notes for my knitting podcasts that I record. Or some weeks I would also do a little bit of like, you know, more detailed event journaling. Like this was about a fiber festival that I went to. More like podcast notes. Some weeks I would do like a weekly recap. I would write out blog posts, like drafts of blog posts. This was actually the draft of the post that I wrote about the Midori. So I'd write those out so that I could just type it up whenever I got time. I would sometimes do like a week in review if I had a decently busy week. Things like that. I'm trying to think of what else. This was another version. This was May and June. You can kind of see again how I handled that whole monthly future planning thing. But yeah, this was really working for me. And as I had said in my blog post that I wrote about this, the reason that this was working and the reason that it's so kind of like neat and tidy and everything kind of, you know, there's a place for everything and everything in its place. Also, I hit the middle just when I stopped using it. Like this is this week, and I just hit the middle of the notebook when I got the passport. Anyway, so there was a place for everything and everything in its place, which is something, you know, I want. Like I love really neatly organized notebooks. Like as much as I want to embrace wabi-sabi, I'm not that kind of person. I'm very type A. So the only reason this was possible is because of this. So this second notebook was what was, you know, in the back of my Midori. And this was my junk notebook. This notebook just holds anything and everything. It is a madhouse in here. So as you can see from the first page, there's drawings of cats. There's dealing with stuff like with my students, like if I had to change one of their grades, like if I recorded one of their grades wrong in the online system, I would just jot that down in here. I'd draw cats. I would write down notes during talks that I would go to so that I could ask questions about something or, you know, give tips to the speaker afterwards, things like that. I would actually very briefly like brainstorm some of the more detailed like essay kind of things that I would write in this notebook. I would just get some ideas out here. I did to-do dumps where I would just write down, basically this wound up becoming this, but same sort of thing. Just like write down all the things you have to do that aren't time specific. I would do stupid little story ideas. If I got an idea for a short story, which of course I'm never going to wind up writing because I don't have time, I'd write down little bits of things for work. Like if I had some ideas on changes that I wanted to make to something, I would do that. I tried out my water brush when I got it. Like I said, it is a madhouse. There's poorly drawn owls just all over the place, cats and owls and penguins and stuff. You know, just all kinds of brainstorming. And you can see a lot of this stuff has these colored lines through it. So basically every time something was done, like, you know, this notebook is very transitory. So once I was done with something, like with this big crystal stuff, once I was done with that, once I wrote up the blog post about that, I was done with it. It didn't need to take my time anymore. So I would draw a line through it with a highlighter pencil. So as I was flipping through here, I could see that, oh, this is not active anymore. This is done. I don't need to worry about it. So as you can see, like here's something that doesn't have a line through it. This is for a video series that I want to make for my knitting channel. Doesn't have a line for it, which would mean that, oh, this isn't done. Like you still need to come back and deal with this. Versus anything else, you know, mostly has lines through it because it's already been handled. You know, here I was working through a problem to help out a student. This is another brainstorm of what I wrote in here about the Midori. Poorly drawn penguins and owls again. So as you can see, it's all over the place. And so I found that having this is really what helped me to keep this neat and tidy. You know, having somewhere where I didn't have to be neat and tidy allowed me to be very, you know, pulled together in this notebook. So let's talk a little bit about how that has transferred over to the passport size. And first of all, I have to note, the passport size is tiny. I mean, of course, I've seen videos and pictures of it. And like, you know, this is no different than just like me showing you the two Midoris together. But when I got it, it was so much smaller than I thought it would be. And so for the cover that I was using in the standard size was a brown cover. And I ordered the black for the passport size because I really like the camel, but I've heard that the camel ages sort of similarly to the brown. And I know how the brown ages, and so I wanted to, but I'd heard that the black was very different. So I wanted to kind of experience the black leather, and it is very different. I don't know how well you can see this, but it is very smooth. You know, the brown cover is definitely sort of like an oilier kind of leather. It marks up very easily. This one feels very finished. It's a very smooth, very polished finish. I definitely can see how people who maybe work in a very professional business setting would definitely prefer this to the brown because it's definitely not going to show its age nearly as much as the brown one will. So I got it yesterday, so on Wednesday, today's Thursday. So the first thing that I did as soon as I got this, and I can take my inserts out so I can show you guys, is I took it to work with me because I came home for lunch and grabbed it, took it to work with me, ripped the package open, and the first thing I did was I added a second elastic to the notebook. So the second elastic basically, if you've seen Midori unboxing videos or if you have one of your own, you know it comes only with one elastic in here, and then it comes with the extra elastic in a contrasting color, and then it also comes with an elastic that is holding together kind of the cardboard box that this is all wrapped in. So I took that second black elastic from the cardboard box and I just ran it through the same holes that the first one was run through, and so it just kind of runs alongside the little tin clasp there. Let's see if I can, again, try and get this closer so I can show you guys how that works. With the black on black, I didn't worry too much, so there you can see it. With the black on black, I didn't worry too much about, like, you know, if it would, like, show up and look goofy. Also, I will probably at some point just cut this clasp off because I don't like it. I never liked it on the standard size. I don't like it on this size. And I feel like because of the smaller size of this, it almost seems more annoying on the smaller size versus the larger one. And, you know, I didn't on the larger one because it was Wesley's, but because this one's mine, this is going to come off. It's just really annoying to me. Anyway, for now. And then I just tied that second elastic here on the inside. So that's that. That's all the modifications I've made. And as you can see, all I have in here are two notebooks. I had ordered a zipper pocket for this guy. Something that I mentioned in my blog post about the standard size is that I have no accessories. These two notebooks that I just showed you, that's all. That's all that was in there. I didn't have any accessories because to me, you know, I don't need my traveler's notebook to be a wallet. I don't need it to be whatever. I just wanted it to hold my notebooks. This one I had ordered the zipper pocket just to kind of see how I liked it, because the reason I wanted the smaller size was because we're going on vacation soon and I wanted something a little bit more travel friendly. So I wanted to try the pocket out. I didn't like it because the little zipper part that like closes up the zippered side sticks out and I can't handle it. So I took that out. I would have shown it to you, but it's sitting in my desk at work because I just threw it in a drawer because I was so annoyed at it. Anyway, so I have two notebooks in here. This first notebook is a weekly planner. I'm going to go ahead and put these guys back in here because otherwise the cover won't lay flat. And then I'll show you how I'm using these. But basically I have the same setup as I did in the big one. So the front notebook is the official Midori weekly planner, only because with the smaller size, I didn't want to try and like hand make my own, like how I had done in the other one. So this is the weekly planner. I just have a little hedgehog sticky note on the front, and this serves the same purpose as this. It's just kind of an ongoing to-do list, just in a smaller format. So that's just stuck on the front here. And then, so this is the Midori weekly planner. And as you can see, it has these little kind of like months broken up. Let's see if I can get that a little bit closer and stay in frame and focus. There we go. So as you can see, it's kind of got like the months like divided up the same way I was doing it kind of in my bullet journal. And so I'm doing sort of the same thing here, where I'm just keeping track of bills because I don't have room to keep track of any kind of like events or anything. But again, you can see boxes that are pink are bills, and I color them in pink once they've been paid. I write them in when they have yet to be paid, and then once they have been paid, I color them in pink. And then paydays I color in green. So that's that, and I will just continue to do that. And then that brings us to the first week in here. And this, again, is this week. I just copied everything from here into here just because I didn't want to have empty days at the start. So I copied all of that into here. So it's the same sort of concept. It's just kind of that micro journaling, bullet point journaling, like what did I do? You know, maybe if we went out for lunch or dinner, I write that down, things like that. You know, went to the gym, stuff like that. So this basically is serving the same purpose as this one did, except that, you know, because this is the official weekly planner, you know, I flip over to the next page and it's the next week. So I don't have the blank pages in between weeks like I did with this guy. And then this back notebook, so that's that. And then the back notebook is just the blank insert. It is not the blank insert that it came with because that one was perforated and I hate perforated pages. So I ordered a separate blank insert. But this one, again, is just a junk notebook. So basically here, I wrote down some notes for this video, just things that were, you know, very different between the standard and the passport size. I started a little packing list, things that I cannot forget when we go on our trip. And that's about it because I've only had it since yesterday. But this notebook would basically become, you know, just lists, gosh, that's a hard word to say, lists, transitory things, kind of like what was in here. I'm sure there will be more horrible penguin and owl drawings. I might take some of the kind of longer form writing that I did in here, and maybe I'll do some of that in here, but the size just doesn't really lend itself to long form writing. So I might, I have another notebook that I need to get reviewed, so hopefully you guys should see that soon. That might become my long form writing notebook, and I'll just do like outlining in here similar to what I did in here. And that's it. You know, that's all. I've been using a Sharpie pen to write in here just because it's cheap. And, you know, if I lose it or something, that's no big deal because I cannot yet figure out a good way to kind of secure the pen in here because it doesn't really fit. Like if I try to put it in here, it doesn't really fit. So what I did today was I just kind of stuck it in between the notebooks like that. But because I'm doing that, I'd rather have a cheaper pen in here because it will probably fall out and get lost at some point. So I've been using the Sharpie pen. I also really like it because it dries really fast. Something that I noticed yesterday, so I wrote all of this gray writing with my Pilot Juice, and I don't know if you guys will be able to see this. I'm going to try and bring it really close and focus on it. Let's see. I don't know if you can see those spots. So like here, you can see some spots. That's where like, so the Pilot Juice, like it doesn't smear, like it dries to be smear proof, I guess, pretty quick. But then I had flipped it over and I was writing this stuff, and because this page was pressing against this page, the ink transferred. So I was like, oh, well, I can't use the Pilot Juice. So that left me with something that dries really fast, like a Sharpie pen. So that's what I'm going to be using now. I'll probably take that on our trip with us too, because again, if I lose it, it's no big deal. And I can easily get others. So yeah, that's my Midori Passport. Like I said, it's not really the size that's important to me right now. It's the It's the system. So, I could be doing this in a field note size, notebook with 2 field notes in it. It doesn't really matter. But for me, it's really important to separate out, the nice stuff from the junk, because I can't just all have it in one notebook and be okay with that. I really need it. I need separate spaces. I need a nice space and a, who knows what's going on space. And that works for me in this size. It works for me in this size, and it would probably work in any size in between. But for now, this will be really great for traveling because it fits really easily into pretty much any bag that I have. So yeah, that's what I'm going with. Thanks for watching. Let me know if you have like kind of a system that you use, and maybe it doesn't matter what size notebook, it doesn't matter what format, as long as it's, sticks with the system. Let me know what your system is. Or if if your system depends on the medium that you're using, let me know about that too. I'd be very curious to hear about it. But yeah, thanks for hanging out, and I will see you guys later. Bye.